Welcome everyone. Today we have a new build guide for a Deadeye, and over here we'll be looking at a tier 18 map run. So this will be a lightning Deadeye, and I'm calling this one the Zeus build because as you can see, a one-shot scream wiped the entire map. And this is a tier 18 map, so a lot of the juiced up materials, a lot of better jobs coming from this map. And you can see, one shot, everything destroyed on the entire map, and this build is extremely durable. So usually with Deadeyes, they're super fast, they're super mobile, and they deal a lot of damage. But the downside of Deadeyes is it's potentially for you to die and also for you to get one-shotted. But this build has the inbuilt mechanics and also combinations which allow you to stack over or close to 3000 energy shield together with over 1500 life. And this makes the Deadeye super durable while allowing you to travel across the map, one-shotting everything as you go. Now just to fast forward a little bit to show you guys how fast the play is, this entire tier 18 run took around 2 minutes. So yes, this is going to be one of the speedy build I want to share with you guys to speed clear any of the content, which allows you to be speed farming maps and also going through to find your cathedrals or just speed farming anything in general. Because of the survivability and also the damage is right over here, as you guys see, it's quite powerful. So this is one of the reasons people like to play the Deadeye, because one arrow, everything's gone, and one more arrow, everything's gone. All you have to do is go over and loot the items and then keep moving forward. This really highlights both of the mobility, both of the high damage, and also the durability for the Deadeye. Now over here, as you can see, once we come to the boss, we do have a swap. We can swap in for a particular ring, which allows us to have even more survivability and also damage against the boss. Together with having different cast on effect and also adjusting the supporting gem, this allows us to have the highest damage against the boss. So after the prep proc is done, you can see that the damage of this Zeus build is actually pretty incredible against the boss, together with animations of the lightning boss. So there you go, that's what I wanted to show you guys. This build does a lot of ball lining, a lot of auto casting effects, which is gonna be a powerful lightning Zeus Deadeye. And there you go, that destroyed the boss. So this build has some crazy interesting mechanics which allows you to have a variety of damage against the boss and also against mapping, where you can also be auto freezing enemies to have cast on freeze. And against the boss, you have cast on shock, which auto casts multiple spells, and the damage is really amazing for this particular build. Now just to showcase you guys a little further of the Deadeye in a variety of content, over here we have a bridge. And as expected guys, one shot it destroys anything on the bridge. Now I mentioned earlier this build has a cast on freeze. Because you're actually dealing cold damage, notice over here you're freezing enemies in the track. So not only you're getting a lot of energy shield as you kill enemies through Green Fist, you're also freezing enemies as they travel towards you. So there's extreme safety and also tons of more damage as you freeze enemies. And yes, the animation is amazing. You can see everything's one-shotted the moment they appear in front of you. And this makes this build kind of OP, especially when you're starting out with summoners. This build feels very fast compared to the minions, which do have a little slow AI. Now fast forwarding a little bit, which we're gonna come over to the Pinnacle boss. So again, a quick swap of the gems will enable you to deal the highest damage. And don't worry guys, this gets very easy once you understand the setup. So coming over to the Pinnacle boss, what you want to do is you'll have your lightning rods ready, and once the boss summons, the damage really stacks up and you'll be shooting a lot of balls of lightning. And over here we're fighting, I do believe this is one of the level 81 Pinnacle boss, and you can see every freeze or every burst of damage you can take down the boss to 1/3 HP. And just to showcase how durable the build is, the boss's slam was tanked fully by the Deadeye, which usually is a much more squishy class. So you can see currently we're sitting on 1300 life and also 2800 energy shield. My friend purposely tanked this one to just demonstrate that this build is very durable. And you can see the slam did not take us down much, and you have so much life recovery, and instantly you got your life back and then your energy shield, followed by taking down the boss within 1 to 2 more seconds. Now similar to all of our build guide, I'll be showcasing you guys all the skills links, all the passives, all the gears that was used in this demonstration. So you guys can follow this step by step to see the juice and also socketing and also the pathways through the skill trees. You can also see the builder's guide in the links below. Now before we dive into the builder's guide, I would like to say a big thank you and also shout out and also credits to Fubgun for sharing and also starting this build. If you guys did not know, Fubgun is one of the very experienced Path of Exile 1 player, and he has started and also made this build. My friend learned from him and made his own adjustment after he learned the build from Fubgun. So if you want to follow Fubgun, he does have two variants with 400 rarity and also the Tanky version. Now I also want to say a big thank you for my friend CB for sharing this build, and after learning from Fubgun, he has made a few adjustments, which I'm very excited to share with you guys for this showcase of the Lightning Zeus Deadeye. So coming back to our builder's guide, you can see there are three variants, with a mapping, with a boss setup, and also a starter build for the endgame. So coming over to the skill links over here. Now Lightning Arrow over here is combined with Martial Tempo, Heft, Ice Bite, Primal Attunement, and also Inspiration. Over here, Lightning Rod is actually not used during mapping because we don't really need it. As you guys can see, in the replays, everything gets one-shotted the moment you shoot lightning arrows, and that's all you needed to do. So, when to use the Lightning Rod is when you come on over here to the boss setup. Lightning Rod is primarily used against the boss, and during the boss setup, you'll be switching between close combat and also primal armament, and this allows you to have scatter shot, concentrated effect, primal, and also raising tempers for the Lightning Rod against the boss. Now I also want to mention, against the boss we're running Cast on Shock, while against the mapping monsters we're actually running Cast on Freeze, and this allows us to freeze enemies, have more safety during mapping the stage. Now don't worry guys, this won't get too confusing. As you're gonna see in the replays, it is a quick swap, and once you understand this, it takes about 30 seconds once you swap the gems, which will enhance your damage by under 30 or 50% by switching one of the supported gems between the primary mapping and also bossing abilities. Over here we're running Herald of Thunder and also Herald of Ice, because we're doing both lightning and also ice damage. Herald of Thunder is combined with Cold Infusion, Glacification, Long Shot, and also Lightning Mastery. While Herald of the Ice is optional to go with 6 link for this one, which will greatly increase your damage while mapping. This skill is combined with Lightning Infusion, Conduction, Magnify Effect, Overcharge, and also Cold Mastery. Now, Wind Dancer is preferable if you guys have the additional spirit. We'll talk about the gearing and also importance of the breakpoint of the spirit so you can be running multiple auras. This ability is combined with Blind for the ability to blind enemies. We will be running Green Fist, and this allows us to have additional way of getting energy shield during mapping, which can stack and also double energy shield. Orb of Storm again is only used against the boss. This is combined with the Lightning Rod. So for this ability, we're combining with Chain, Persistence, Unleash, and also Overabundance. Now we mentioned earlier, Cast on Freeze is only used during mapping, because against the boss we'll be using Cast on Shock. And you guys can see again through the variety of the setups to see the different varieties and also different choices of items and also setup. Cast on Freeze is combined with Vortic Mark, Life Tap, Impetus, and also Innovate. Finally, we have Ghost Dance, and this ability can allow us to gain additional evasion. So coming over to the boss setup, we mentioned earlier about the boss setup, you can see that the abilities that they swapped over here is going to be Primal Armament, and the ability we have over here is going to be Cast on Shock. Cast on Shock is combined with Ball Lightning, Deceleration, Impetus, and also Energy Retention. Now coming over to the skills passive, what you can see is we're gaining a lot of energy shield everywhere we can, while we're gaining additional damage as shock, as lightning, together with even more energy shield, and also as cold damage. We'll be getting additional equip bonus from Quivers, and also some major knot, which can be very good. Now here I do want to mention, you probably don't want to get this knot because you will be losing a lot of evasion, so keep in mind of that. Now it is also optional guys, if you want additional charms, you can come over here for the +1 charm slot. And as for the rest of the links, you can see in the builder's guide, this also allows for the 2 different weapon setups, which allows you to utilize both of the 24 points. Now in terms of the jewel socketing, one of the unique jewels we'll be using is against the darkness. Over here we're gaining additional damage as extra cold damage. You don't really have to worry about the small passive knots, we're here for the notable passive knots. And this will allow us to deal even additional cold damage against monsters, which is also really good. Now if you guys are not sure how to search for those darkness jewels, I do have a video guide to teach you about this. It is the similar one we search for the spirit. You can search for the keyword, and I'll have that video available for you guys to teach you how to search for those jewels. So this way you can be getting some pretty hefty damage by perking into those zones. Now over here, we also have additional juice which allows us to have increased attack speed with bows, increased projectile damage, can be really good for this particular build. Now if you cannot afford all of those affixes, any affix can be good. Projectile speed, attack speed, and auto movement can also work. So it is really about getting one of the right affix and then you combine with the rest. So notice here we're getting attack speed with bows, then projectile speed, and then some lightning damage is also not bad. Again, those juice can vary in price. I recommend aiming for at least 1 to 2 of the right affix, and then the third one doesn't really matter. So here you can see projectile speed, attack speed are the primary ones, and then we go for lightning damage or anything else that can add towards the juice. So coming over to the gears for this current build, over here we're using a number of unique items. So let me briefly come over back to the unique items, and maybe it's easier if I just show you guys over here. We're using those unique pair of gloves, which allows us to have a massive boost of attack speed depending on the dexterity. And these gloves can also be corrupted with additional sockets, or these gloves can also be adding additional impulses as you corrupt those for better stats. We're also using this unique helmet that provides us with item rarity, which is a bonus, but mostly this provides us with additional energy shield. This gains 20 to 30 or even higher percentage of maximum life as energy shield. And this really allows the Deadeye to become even tankier, having so much more energy shield, which can be amplified by Green Fist. Now you can notice that for the mapping setup, we're using 2 unique items, and for the bossing setup, we actually consider using this particular unique ring with Thief Torment. This ring will allow us to gain mana on hit, and this ring provides us some pretty nice stats and also additional item rarity. The downside of using this ring is that you cannot use it as a ring, and this might mean that you have to adjust for your stats before switching onto this ring for the boss. So while watching the replays, you might notice that my friend is actually switching onto this ring right before the boss. Not only does this give him a little bit more rarity, but this also gives him more sustain of mana as he casts his spells onto the boss, because his auto casting spells will spend a lot of mana. Now notice that he's switching both of the boots and also this unique ring, simply because the boots provide him with the necessity skills or necessity attributes that allows him to wear those boots. So let me fast forward a little bit to show you guys what I mean by that. If he just put on this particular ring and then notice that most of these gears does not work because he's losing the stats from both of the rings. So this is why his boots, he also adjusted for another boots. So this way the boots can also provide him with additional stats. So this unique ring can be fitted because it takes a slot of 2 rings. So you should be aware of this if you want to try the full bossing setup. If this is too much trouble for you guys, just keep the mapping rings, those can still work. But this means you'll have a little less mana, and because your spells are auto casting, you'll be spending a lot of mana against the boss. So you want to pop more mana potions. So coming back to the gears of choice, you can see that this particular unique gloves is socketed with 2 sockets because you can corrupt those for additional sockets. As for the bow, you can see our bow has increased physical damage, additional lightning damage. We also have liches on life through physical hits, and also gaining additional life and also mana per enemy killed. This allows us to be sustainable, and also we're socketing for additional physical damage. In terms of the rings we're using, we do have increased rarity and also lots of stats, maximum life, evasion, and also any resistance we're missing. In terms of the chests, we want more evasion, energy shield, bonus energy shield, and also evasion, together with socketing for additional armor, evasion, and also energy shield. We also want maximum life, any resistance, and also tons of dexterity, because dexterity will scale towards even higher attack speed. As for the secondary ring, it is similar. You get more resistance, you can deal even higher cold damage, and anything you're missing in terms of mana, life, resistance can do over here. Now the amulet is anointed with high alert. Here I do want to mention, you want to find the amulet with the right base. This particular base with the solar amulet gives you more spirit. It is very important, guys, to find more spirit because you'll be running multiple auras, and this costs a lot of spirit reservation. So you can see there's a 12 plus spirit and also a 46 plus spirit. Other than that, you're getting additional stats and additional resistance, those will do. And as for the helmet, notice again, guys, we want more spirit. My friend was quite lucky over here to have the helmet corrupted with another 28 spirit. So this way it pushes him over the threshold to allow him to cast all the spells and also all the arrows. And here we do have some additional notes over here. So if we come back to the additional nodes and also tips coming from Fubgun, we want to aim for about 180 spirit so we can have all of those spells casted, and those can be swapped against the boss. So 180 is a breakpoint for the spirit. There are multiple ways of getting this. One of the, I guess, more expensive and also premium way is to find it on the helmet when the helmet is corrupted this way. It can be a little more costly, keep in mind. Other than that, you can find additional spirit by finding the right spirit chest. So notice my friend's chest does not have spirit. You can find more spirit on the chest and also together with expert salmon chest, which will give you more implicit spirit, which can be a cheaper option, but you lose some stats of course. Now, a curver is going to be one of the most important pieces of the gears. This one, we should be looking for additional physical, cold, lightning damage, attack speed, projectile speed, additional skill ranks, +2, and also, most importantly, additional dexterity. Because the quiver is actually amplified by the passives over here, which give us additional equip quiver bonus, the dexterity and also stats are amplified, which in return give us even higher attack speed coming from the gloves. The boots over here, we want more movement speed, more life, more rarity found if you can, and any additional resistance is preferable over here. And finally, as for the belt, it is quite straightforward. You can go for life, resistance, and also additional armor can do. And you can see my friend's belt is not going to be the best belt. Now you can notice that my friend here actually have 2 charms. I mentioned earlier that it is possible, guys, for you to go for additional charm slot. I think during this particular setup, he did take the 2 points, 1, 2 for additional charm slot. So if you want more charms, this can be good as well. You can see that for his potions, he have instant recovery and also additional recovery. Now briefly going through the tips and also skill rotations for this Deadeye build. As you guys can see, majority of the time in the map, you just pinpoint against the enemy and everything dies within one shot. You're auto casting multiple spells as you freeze enemies, and well, that's pretty much it for tier 18. Everything will be frozen, everything will be shocked, they will be destroyed within one shot. And yes, this is a very powerful build and has a lot of survivability. You do want to pick up the remnants from Grimfest to become even durable, but most of the time, because things are dying so fast and you're freezing them, you're only casting lightning arrows, and that's it for the entire mapping. You can travel even faster, of course, but over here, my friend, just to demonstrate to you guys how powerful the build can be in a tier 18 map. And of course, you can play a little safe. And the build is extremely good for both survivability and also damage output. Now, upon reaching the boss or upon reaching the Pinnacle boss, you can do this change. You don't have to do the change if you don't want to, but here we're switching into the unique ring so you can be gaining more mana as you cast your spells automatically. You can see that we turn off the cast on freeze while turning on cast on shock to auto cast a lot of lightning bolts. The supported gems are swapped over here, and those are all available in the variants in the builder's guide for you guys to have a look. And upon reaching the boss, you'll be casting your Orb of Storms and then dropping down the lightning rods. And that's pretty much it. Everything is automatic. As the boss becomes shocked, you'll be casting a Brazilian lightning bolts because those are cast on hit effects. And this really triggers multiple times. Notice that the boss HP drops a third at a time very quickly. And this is the combination of auto casting through the Deadeye, which is very powerful. That's why I'm calling it the Lightning Zeus build. So what I do now is I'll provide you guys with this replay showcasing both of a tier 18 complete run in 2 minutes and also showcasing the damage against the Uber boss. I'm sure you guys know against the bridge it is one-shotting everything, and this means the build is extremely good for any content in the game. And finally, should you want to have a look at everything in details, the level of my friend's skill gems and all the setup, it is available in the links, and also it will be available at the end of the video. Also, we'll be showing you what to do when you swap gears, and finally, I'll timestamp everything for you guys to go through for this video.
I shall overcome. Incoming arrow. Lethal. Nature's fury.
Now, before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on the official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is gonna be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.